Hello and greetings, Pool Player Nation. Jason Bowman, Bill Tufts here, and we have started the countdown to Las Vegas. Of course, the APA World Pool Championships just days away, and today we are here to help you prepare for your trip, to tell you what to expect on your trip, and to hopefully help you guys have really the experience of a lifetime when you get to Las Vegas. So I know there's a lot of excitement, of course, here in St. Louis. We are busy packing things up, getting ready to go, and preparing for what looks to be one of our largest Vegas events ever.
Yeah, outside of that year where we had to combine COVID,
Right.
This is the largest event ever, crushing records all the way around, and definitely excited. We are ramping up and going full steam ahead to get out there and get it prepared for everybody.
Yeah, I was looking over some of the numbers. 16,000 participants, not including those coming out just to play strictly in Mania. 1.3 million and some change in prize money up for grabs. So going to be a great event, August 8th through the 17th there in Las Vegas at the Westgate. And again, a lot of information that we want to share with you guys today to help you prepare and to be ready to have the experience of a lifetime. So let's jump right into it, Bill. Starting off with preparing for the trip really begins with one very important step, and that is registering for the tournament, correct?
Absolutely. Online registration now open. We need to make sure everybody goes out there and registers online. Used to be a thing where everybody would have to show up, stand in a line, register, get everything. It's not like that anymore. You register online and you register for yourself. So every individual on every team needs to go out, Member Services app, make sure that they register for their events. Essentially what you're doing is you're doing the certification process, as well as some waivers, some things that are covered for us, as far as videoing, the graphics, our ability to use those. But make sure you go out and register online. There is limited on-site registration, but it is extremely limited. The times are limited, and you're not prepared that way. If you show up, your match has already been called for some reason, you show up late, registering then, it's too late. You're not going to play in that round. If you're registered prior to the event through the online registration, the match goes out for some reason, your travel was hung up, but your team was able to start, you'd be eligible to play in that round. It's a huge difference.
Right.
Also, it saves you that line process.
Right.
Now, we still have lines when you get there. People normally confuse those with registration. They are not registration, everybody. The lines that you see will be for the goodie bags and for cash pickup, right? You don't have to do that to register. All you have to do is register online, you're good to go to play. The rest of that, we have that open multiple times throughout the day, whatever else. You can actually wait for that line to get smaller and go and pick up your stuff. So big clarification there, just get out there and register online.
Yeah, and that online registration, like Bill said, is now open. You do that through your Member Services account. I believe you'll see a notification there that says it's time to register, and you can go ahead and do that. Save yourself some time there in Las Vegas. And, there's a lot of lines on the way to Vegas. There's lines when you get to Vegas. So have one less line to worry about.
One less line, especially at the most stressful part.
Yeah.
You're trying to get there. You're trying to get established at the event. You may be ready to play. You want to just get to it. Last thing you want to do is stand in a line, especially if you don't have to. So if you did register online, don't stand in the line.
Right.
If you didn't register online, you're going to want to see a tournament director. You're not standing in that line either.
Yeah. And now registration will close 24 hours before the start of a particular event?
Yes, it will. And that allows us to prepare everything that we need to get ready for the start of the matches.
Okay.
So we do close it. You wouldn't have the ability, obviously, at that point to register online. If you find yourself in that predicament, that's when you're going to go and do the actual limited on-site registration.
Okay. So once you have registered for the event, and again, you're going to want to do that. All of your teammates are going to want to do that. Save yourself some time, line waiting, all that good stuff. But once you're registered, now we're talking about packing for the event, things that we want to make sure we bring to Las Vegas, and that all starts with your pool cue, right?
Yes.
Pool cues, when you're packing them, it's important to understand that you cannot take your pool cue onto the airplane. The vast majority of folks that are going to come out to Vegas are going to travel by air, and you cannot carry your cue and case onto the airplane. TSA does not allow it. We have heard stories from time to time about people getting through with them, but that is generally kind of an anomaly when that happens.
Yeah, don't anticipate that that's going to happen. Definitely find a way to get your cue there. Either ship it out there, which I think is kind of a risky thing, or pack it in the one that you're going to actually check at the airport. If you're driving, it's a little bit simpler.
Yeah, so take that cue case, throw it inside of your big suitcase,
Wrap it up
pack
good.
it, all your clothes around it, make sure it stays safe and protected, and that's your best bet when you check that bag on the airplane to get your cue to Vegas. Some of the other things you're going to want to keep in mind when you're packing for Vegas, number one, I would say comfortable shoes.
100%.
Right? There's a lot of walking in Las Vegas, not just in the venue, in the Westgate, in the tournament room, but really just if you're going to explore Las Vegas, everything is kind of spread out. It looks really close, but that is generally not the case.
Yeah.
Anything that looks like it's right across the street is probably a good 10 or 15 minute walk.
I think we've all learned that lesson before.
Yeah, if you've been to Vegas, you know this, but for those that have not, obviously comfortable shoes, tennis shoes, something that are going to help your feet stay in good shape over the duration of your trip is important. The other thing we often recommend, and I think comes to a surprise to those that haven't been out there, but you're going to want to bring some type of a long sleeve hoodie, maybe light jacket, because while it's 110 degrees outside in the sun, on the inside they generally keep the casinos, the convention spaces very cool, and so people often get a little chilly in there and they prefer to have like a hoodie or a light jacket.
Absolutely. We really are talking about two completely different environments.
Yeah.
The exterior, which is scorching hot typically this time of year, sometimes rainy. It's actually monsoon season there. So sometimes you get some rain, but still going to be hot. Inside, as Jason was pointing out, cold. Sometimes in the tournament rooms, that's because they're battling that heat and trying not to let it get inside.
Yeah.
So you really do want to make sure that you're wearing something warm for the tournament play. Make sure you're prepared there. Make sure you're prepared for the outdoors. Can get pretty toasty out there. Everything is much further than it looks, so keep that in mind before you go trekking outside.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about dress for the tournament and what is appropriate, because I know there's really two different dress codes, right? You've got a dress code for the main part of the tournament, in the big rooms when things are going on, and then that dress code becomes even a little more stringent, right, when you get into like the quarterfinals, semifinals, and final rounds that take place there in Pool Dog Arena, right?
Absolutely. The longer of the two, actually, if you were to look at the list, and this confuses some people, the longer of the two lists is actually regular tournament play list would be the longer. But just to break it down, casual wear, right? Neat, clean attire, nothing offensive, sleeves on shirts, that kind of thing, no athletic wear. But generally, hats are allowed, we're not really looking at your footwear. Shorts are allowed, that kind of thing. When it comes to the championship arena, we strip it down to its essence, and we're looking for smart or casual business attire.
Okay.
So there are no shorts allowed at all. There are no cargos allowed at all. So if you see a reference to khakis or something like that, we're talking about slacks,
Right.
or just regular khaki pants that don't have the extra pockets like cargos.
Okay.
Whenever it comes to shoes, conservative athletic shoes, walking shoes, loafers, clogs, sneakers, all those are kind of allowed in that room. We're not really filming your feet so much. We want your
Right.
feet to be taken care of, but we are definitely going to make sure that they look good, that they're neat, clean, and appropriate
Right.
for the scene. Whenever it comes to tops, polos, for the most part. That's your safest bet. We do allow dress shirts, open collared shirts, and matching team shirts. That would be the one exception to the shirts, is if you have matching team shirts. If every single shirt is different, right, but it's got some sort of theme going on that's cohesive, we'll consider it. If they're just different shirts that might have the bar name that you come from, your host location, that's not going to be allowed. You have to be matching if you're going to do that. And with those, they can be t-shirts as well. Again, everything's always about how appropriate is it. No profanity, right? Nothing offensive.
Right.
Basically, if you're putting it on to get a rise out of somebody, it's not allowed.
Probably not going to fly.
Anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the reasons that we do ask for you to step up your dress when you get into that Pool Dog Arena is because we're live streaming the championship finals, right? And those finals are generally seen, I think our latest event, our Pool Player Championships, we were at 75,000, 80,000 views on Facebook alone. That doesn't include what goes out on YouTube or Billiard TV, which will be carrying the matches. So, we want to present the event and present you in a great light, and so that's why we ask that you guys make sure that you step up your game when it comes to dress, particularly as we get into Pool Dog Championship Arena.
Yeah, and I do want to be clear, what we are asking, right? It is a choice of the individual, but the repercussions of that are a forfeit on our side. If you don't have a change of attire, if you're not dressed appropriately at the time that your match is called, gets drawn, we have attention on it. Somebody draws our attention either in the main tournament rooms or the pool dog room, where championship arena, where we are actively watching everybody that comes in there. That could lead to a forfeit. That's about the worst time you want to be dealing with trying to find new clothes, is when you're about to play your match. I can't think of anything more stressful than that. And unfortunately, it does happen to people every single year, every single event. We normally avoid the forfeit part, but it's never a guarantee.
Yeah, I've seen people, you know, I'm preparing to do the commentary in there, and I see people like running around up to their room to try to get changed into something or borrow something. And, you know, you hate for somebody to have that big moment and to have to wear something that is not comfortable to them. You know, they don't either how it looks or how it feels. You know, I was always taught with baseball, you know, if you look the part, you always tend to play a little bit better.
Exactly.
So, you know, dress the part. Dress like you plan to be there, and step up your game.
Just like you're going to be seen online or on TV forever,
Yeah.
wearing what you're wearing.
Absolutely.
Because that's what we're talking about here.
Absolutely. It's a moment you're going to want to remember, and you're going to want to be dressed well for it. So we've talked about getting your cue to Vegas. We've talked about comfortable shoes, light jacket or a hoodie. We've talked about making sure you have appropriate dress for the tournament. The next thing we'll talk about in terms of preparing for Vegas is reviewing the event program. The event program is available on our website, poolplayers.com. It is all digital. And so you can kind of go in and start to look at what the schedules look like, you know, what the payouts are, when you can practice. You know, we're going to have some fan favorites there, and we'll talk more about them, but you can see their schedule. So it is kind of the, you know, the Bible, if you will, for all things World Pool Championships. All the information you could possibly want is located there in that event program. Again, that is available on our website, poolplayers.com. We'll also be pushing it out through our social media channels, so it'll be hard to miss. But make sure you have looked at the event program, kind of scouted it. You know, you don't have to know it verbatim, but I would encourage you to understand the schedule for the events that you're in, maybe understanding when practice time is, opening ceremonies,
Absolutely.
you know, the highlights and that kind of thing. And then you can look at when the payouts and things are as well. But again, reviewing the event program goes a long way in helping you be prepared when you get to Las Vegas.
Yeah, you're going to save yourself a lot of questions just by reviewing it. You can download it to your device as well. Highly recommend that. Not something you really want to be trying to hop online for when you've got a question, but almost every question you've got could be answered through this or through the links that go directly to the website. Like the rules will link to the website, where we have a comprehensive list of all the championship rules, comprehensive dress code, you know, those things. So make sure you do it. One of the biggest things that people are going to use this for is the Mini Mania schedule.
Right.
That's located inside. Actually, it's links to it as well. Definitely make sure you guys take a look and take a peek at that. I think it's pretty important to people. They seem to be into it.
Yeah, a lot of good information there. Plus, it's another way just to, you know, get you more excited for what's to come. So make sure you check out that event program. So once you're in Las Vegas, we're going to change directions a little bit, talk about what happens once you arrive in Vegas. Again, most people that come out there, of the 16,000 participants, generally are going to arrive by airplane, right? You're going to fly into McCarran Airport, and you've got to get from the airport to the hotel. There are, I would say, 3 main modes of transportation getting from the airport to the hotel. The first is the cheapest option, which is a group shuttle. You can generally sign up for one of those, and they're going to put on, I don't know, 12, 16 people into a fairly large size van/bus with several rows, and they're going to stop at several different hotels, dropping people off until they get to your hotel. So you know, the Westgate is more on the northern end of the Strip, not actually on the Strip, but down towards the northern end. So depending on how they run their route, you may be one of the last people off. So it is a cheaper option. You know, it's been a while since I looked at shuttles, maybe $10, $15 a person.
Somewhere around
you know, but it is an option. So the primary options that people take advantage of would be either cab or ride share, meaning Uber or Lyft. Both are good options to get you from the airport to the Westgate. Generally going to run you somewhere around $25, I believe. In fact, now they actually have set pricing at the airport for the cabs. You know, they used to do the, they call it long haul.
Yeah, the long haul.
Where the cab driver would take you all the way around the highway and the longest route possible, and it'd be a $50 cab ride. I think as the ride shares kind of became a bigger thing, in order to stay competitive, they implemented that set pricing. So if I'm not mistaken, it's about $25 by cab to get from the airport to the Westgate. You can also do the ride shares. It's a little bit different of a pickup area. A little bit longer of a walk, but again, you can compare pricing if you want that way. And the other thing I'll say about the cabs, there is, when you get to the airport and you see the cab line, sometimes it's like, holy cow,
Wow,
there's
look at that thing.
150 people in the cab line. It goes extremely quick. I mean, it doesn't
Super
stop.
fast.
They continue to load people up. So don't be intimidated by the size of the cab line. It's a very effective way to get from the airport to your hotel. And then the final option would be limousine. There's a lot of different limo companies. You can rent a limo, especially if you're traveling like with your whole team. It might be a good option. You know, maybe it's your guys' first time to Vegas. You know, it's probably going to cost you $80, maybe $100 to get from the airport to the hotel. But it's one of those experience things.
Exactly.
You'll all be together. You'll all be pumped up. You know, I think there's a little liquor store there at the airport. You can grab something before you jump in the limo. So it's just if you want to kind of have that experience once you arrive, it's just another option and your most expensive option.
Depending on how proactive you are, you could actually call ahead, get that scheduled, and be one of the people that shows up. They got the little sign
It's
out
pretty
there
sweet
for you.
when you got the
pretty
sign.
sweet. And it's more expensive, but I could see a place for it.
For sure,
with this trip,
especially
100%.
with this trip where you're traveling with your team. So the one thing we don't recommend is don't try to walk from the airport to the Westgate. Nope. It is not safe. It is a long walk. It will be very hot in August, even in the evening. And again, it's not set up for pedestrians to walk from the airport to the hotel. Even if you feel like you can see the hotel from the airport, you're talking a couple hours of walking with your luggage to try to get
I'd like to say any hotel that you can see from the airport. If you think you're going to walk from the airport to MGM because it's just right there,
right.
Sadly mistaken. Like, it's a long walk. It's very, very hot typically this time of year. And as you said, it's just not worth doing. Pay the money, get a ride. One of the ride types that we said, or maybe you got your own personal vehicle.
Yeah, and if you're driving to Las Vegas, or you're going to have a vehicle, there is free parking there at the Westgate. One of the few properties still in Las Vegas. It doesn't charge for parking, I believe. So that is kind of a nice perk if you're coming, and staying at the Westgate and you're driving. You can certainly park there as well. So just know that. Now, once you get to the Westgate, all right, some things that you need to know. The first thing we recommend when you arrive at the hotel is go ahead and get checked in to the hotel. All right, the hotel registration is separate from the tournament registration, right? We talked about registering for the tournament online. Bill mentioned that if you don't happen to get registered online, you can do that at the event. But these are different registrations, right? So once you arrive at the Westgate, you're going to want to get registered. Or if you're staying at an off-site hotel, again, once you arrive, I would always encourage you to go ahead and get registered. Even if your room is not yet ready, if you happen to arrive in the morning, you can check your bag with the bellhop. It's generally free. You just tip them a couple dollars when you drop it off and pick it up. No big deal. And that allows you to kind of move around freely. But go ahead and get checked in. They'll try to get you in your hotel as soon as they can, and even if you have to wait a while, you can. At
least you're not hauling around all your stuff.
Yeah, you don't want to have to haul your bags every which way. You want to drop those off and kind of get your trip started. So the other thing we recommend is to familiarize yourself with the Westgate property. All right, walk around a little bit once you're on site. Find out or figure out where the tournament area is. You're gonna go all the way through the restaurant row there, and you'll make a right and go down in towards the convention space, and you won't be able to miss it once you get to the right spot. So when in doubt, we always tell people follow the other folks with cue cases, right?
Yeah.
It's not too difficult. There is some signage there, but again, you just kind of follow the masses, and you'll end up where you need to be. So
you get to the casino, you're going to see it. No matter where you're at in the casino, you're going to see the people flowing towards the tournament room. Really hard to miss, but if you're looking for like just kind of a checkpoint, you could always head towards Benihana, right? Yeah. Those restaurants that are right there, once you get on that path, we're just down the hall.
Yeah. So kind of know how to get to the tournament area. That way, when it's time for you, if you got a match scheduled, you're trying to get to opening ceremonies, you know exactly where you need to go, and you're not feeling rushed or concerned about going in the right direction. The other benefit of kind of checking out the Westgate is learning where certain things are, like the restaurants, like the food court. Because obviously you're going to be on site, you're going to want to be eating, and you're going to want to know where to go when you're hungry without taking an inordinate amount of time. So familiarize yourself with the property a little bit, know where things are, and that's going to go a long way in helping you have a positive experience there, I believe, because the reality is it's Vegas. All of these hotels and casinos are large. There's a lot of ground to cover. You're going to want to know where things are at.
I mean, the map we're looking at right now, this map that's 150,000 square feet. That's
that's
just
the tournament area.
the tournament area. So you can imagine the size of the property overall, and then the size of just the properties within town. So depending on where you're staying, they can be quite large. The Westgate's quite large. I think it all just goes to what we're talking about, which is preparing before you go.
Yeah.
And then when you're getting there, making sure that you're preparing as much as possible before we actually start round play.
Absolutely. All right, so we're at the Westgate. You know, we're in Vegas. We're having we're stoked. And now we want to get into some of the tournament details, right? We talked about the importance of online registration before you get there. That opens, well, it's open now,
Yes.
and it'll be open till 24 hours prior to your event starting. If you happen, or someone on your team happens to not get registered online, there is a limited opportunity to do it on site, correct?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
Yes, there is. So what they're going to do is they're going to go down to the tournament space. Once you get past all the restaurants, on the left-hand side, we actually have our information booth. That's our APA information booth. We've got staff in there. They're happy to help you get to where you need to go. You just ask them where you need to go to based on your event. They'll send you to the appropriate table. So when I say table, we've got control tables in each of the rooms. Depending on which event, if we're talking about registration for the main events, that'll be in the event center.
Right.
So it's the furthest room from that point. It's also the biggest room. They'll direct you over there. Once you get into that room, you're going to go to the main control table. We have two in there. One is going to do the cash payout, goodie bags, that stuff. The other table is going to have a bunch of people in suits. You're looking for the ones that have a bunch of people in suits. Those suits are going to be the ones that help you out with your registration process if you didn't do it online. If you have any questions regarding your online registration, or you have any questions regarding just the tournament in general, skill levels, those kinds of things, you're going to go to those suits. You're going to go to one of those tables. But you don't necessarily have to remember this, everything that we're saying right here. Just know, find APA information.
Right.
They'll be happy to walk you through the rest of it and get you where you need to go.
Okay. You also mentioned in that, what you were saying there about the limited on-site registration, about the cash pickup, the money pickup, the registration gifts. Can you talk just a little bit about that and who that's available to, that kind of thing?
So depending on the event and the day that you arrive for your event, we have certain hours set out for whether it be qualifier award money for our 8-ball and 9-ball teams,
Right.
Goodie bags for those teams, a little gift package we give to everyone. For our Showdown Series events, so that's Masters, Ladies, Jack and Jill, team captains, and I'm missing one in there somewhere.
I think you got all four.
Did I get all?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got goodie bags for all of those as well.
Okay.
So those lines will be segmented out. It's another table in that big room that I said in the event center. We'll have queue lines and a big projector screen above it that has the line that you're supposed to be in for your event, okay? Whenever it comes to these, team captains pick these things up for the team so that we don't have 16,000 people that have to stand in this line over the course of the event. We're going to limit it to team captains. They need to have their ID, right, if they're going to pick up money. And then the staff up at the front, they're going to verify that they are who they are, and they're going to have them sign off on it. They're going to take that, okay? That is not registration, though. I can't emphasize that enough. A lot of people confuse that for, I registered my team, I stood in that line. That's not what that is.
Yeah.
That is just for picking up money. That is just for grabbing your goodie bags, and you can do that within different windows of time throughout the event. It's open every single day, so even if you're in 8-ball and it's the first thing kicking off, you could pick it up later in the week. That's going to be okay. What we don't want everybody to do is stand in a line unnecessarily when we know we've got the hours of operation to facilitate, them coming later at a more conducive time for them. So.
It never fails, though. There will be a long line at the beginning.
Oh, they almost trampled me at singles.
And I never understand it. It's unnecessary, but I guess people want to get their registration money sooner, make sure like we don't run out, which we never do. But
I'd say if you were going to teach one of those two things, eager is better than being too laxed on doing the things that you're supposed to do. But in this particular case, you want to make sure you register. That's number one whenever it comes to priorities. Make sure everybody on your teams is registered also. After that, this would be the thing that you go and do. Definitely do it before you leave, right? Definitely do it within the hours of operation that we've got, but you don't have to rush to do it.
Okay. So the tournament will actually kick off on August 8th, 1:30 p.m., I believe. And again, you can verify all this in the event program. But we have an opening ceremony. APA President Greg Fletcher will be there, and we'll have some things to say, and we'll get the crowd kind of pumped up, and of course we'll have the singing of the national anthem that kind of gets things officially underway. So it's always a pretty cool experience. I know those that have been part of that, and really I think it's the anthem that is the kind of the thing that gets the chill bumps going.
Yep.
So make sure if you are in Vegas at that point, come check out the opening ceremony. That is how we officially kick things off and get things going. But once the tournament is underway, one of the things that I wanted to ask you about, Bill, is it's become very popular over the last several years. When I walk in the tournament room, you see phones almost on every table now. Everybody's streaming their matches to their Facebook page or their YouTube channel, or maybe both. What are the rules and regulations as it applies to the live streaming if I want to stream my team's match or my individual match?
Oh, we encourage it. We do. We absolutely understand that it's different now than it used to be. There are phones everywhere. Everybody has this ability to stream, right? We want the exposure. We want this to go back home to those friends and family who couldn't be at the event. We want them to be able to see that. One thing that we do ask is that you make sure that your opponent's okay with it. Whenever it comes to us, if we're gonna film something, you guys are signing off on waivers, we're gonna film something in our space. But when it comes to other teams, right, you know, we're gonna ask that you just politely ask them if it's okay if you stream the match, right? If they don't agree, we could probably have a conversation with them about why they don't, but we're gonna err on the side of the person that doesn't wanna be filmed for the match. Okay. We are gonna wanna kinda understand though, because in this environment, it's very difficult for us to say people can't use cameras in this environment or use phones. So I would just expect that that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But if there's like a legitimate reason, and sometimes these reasons have fallen outside of play, right? The filming doesn't have to do with the table. So we just want to make sure that everybody's comfortable as possible. So if you have any questions on that, you can go to a tournament director and we can resolve it. But for the most part, streaming, highly encouraged, except for one place. I think there's one place where we do all the streaming.
Yeah, Pool Dog Arena for the championship finals, you will not be allowed to stream in there. And regardless of if you want to be streamed or not, if you want to play in the championship match, that is something that you will concede to having done, because we stream all those matches. Hasn't ever really been an issue, but you know, I suppose it could be. But just understand, because what you said there is, you know, if somebody asks if you guys can stream the match and somebody doesn't want to, then we generally go with that. But understand that the table behind you is probably streaming the match.
Exactly.
The table next to you is probably streaming a match. So, you know, there's not
a spectator that's not affiliated with either team is streaming the match. I mean,
there's not much you can do. You know, I would not expect in a room with hundreds of tables and thousands of people, there's not much expectation of privacy, I guess is my point. So, you know, be a good sport about it, you know, enjoy the moment and go with it. But I do really love seeing all the cameras as you get in there. Just make sure you're prepared, you know, have a tripod and know that you're gonna have to attach to your own data, right?
Yes.
You're gonna have to stream with your own data.
Yeah, we're not giving up the Wi-Fi.
Not quite for the 16,000 that'll be there, but it is very popular and something we certainly encourage you to do. Hashtag APA Vegas if you are live streaming, make your video public, and hopefully we'll be able to you know, see that through our page as well. So we talked about opening ceremonies. Let's talk a little bit about practice tables, because I know this is always something that folks want to know, particularly before the tournament starts. What is the availability of practice tables? Where are they?
So practice tables, the very first day, right? Very first day we're going to kick off. Every single table in the whole space is practice for the most part.
Okay.
That stops right about the time of that opening ceremony or so. Some of the other rooms, like the ballroom where Mania is at, the pavilion, they might continue some play. But as soon as we start calling rounds, basically there's no play anywhere. And it really is just a resource allocation thing. In order to run this event in the time frame that we're running it and keep the trip limited as possible for the participants, right? They're there, and also not play them too late in the evenings.
Right.
We've got to use basically every pool table at certain points of time. Now we do have separate practice areas. They are limited, but we do have some practice tables that are basically available, open the entire time, right? A few hours at night when we shut them down to clean. And as play starts to wind down in those other rooms, when we're not having to call matches because the tournament's progressing and some people have been eliminated and we're getting down to the bottom, That's when we're going to open up more arenas within the actual tournament room spaces that have nothing but dedicated practice tables in them.
Okay.
All those times are actually laid out in the event program as well, so you guys can know exactly where those tables will be and at what times they'll be available. We have a ton of people coming to this, though, so keep in mind, just because they're available doesn't mean that they are available, if you know what I mean.
Right.
But we do ask that if you are on the practice tables, don't dominate them.
Right.
Other people do want to get on the practice tables. Make sure that you're sharing, that you're letting people work in, basically, and that you're not just dominating that because other players need it too.
Okay. Now the tables, in terms of, when do you have to pay for tables and when don't you? The tables will be open for basically competition, right? 8-ball, 9-ball World Championship, Masters, team captains, ladies, and Jack and Jill. When you're playing in your rounds, those tables are open, right? You
Correct.
don't pay anything, but when they're closed and you're practicing, you do have to pay for the table.
Yes,
correct?
they are $1 a game.
Okay.
All right. We do have token machines, not dollars.
Right.
Previously, we would have dollars. These are actually tokens. You get those. They work in the mechs. So when the tables are closed, you can use those for practice. But we also have pay range.
Right.
And pay range, digital. You can get a digital wallet. You can use that. It links the table to an account on there. You can just pay for the games through that. Do it through the app. It'll drop the balls for you. Now, that is only during practice, Mini Mania. It's that way the entire time. And in our practice rooms, it's that way all the time. The tables are closed. But once we actually start round play, is kind of how we designate it. Round play for any of our major events, the tables are going to be open throughout.
Nice.
Yep.
Excellent. So you mentioned pay range, but let's talk about some of the other vendors that'll be there. We will have several dozen vendors there selling everything from cues to apparel. I know we'll have cue repair folks there if you happen to have a
TSA
cue
issue.
Yeah, or you don't, you lose your cue.
Yeah.
So I mean, in terms of shopping, you'd be hard pressed not to be able to find whatever you're looking for with all the vendors that we'll have there. And I think we've got somewhere around 40 vendors that are,
Yes.
that are planning to be there.
This really is a trade show of sorts whenever it comes to that. More for the consumer in this case, but anything related to pool, anything you guys could need, it's there. Including some of those tripods that you were talking about for the streaming, things like that. I mean, our vendors, they pay attention to what the players are asking for. They make sure that they have it whenever they get out there. So definitely visit our vendors. There's going to be a ton of them. You cannot miss them.
Yeah.
The majority of them will be located in more of that ballroom pavilion area, so the Mini Mania room and then the big middle room if you're looking at the event map. But there is a link to all of our vendors also within the event program too, so that you guys can kind of look ahead to that and see who you're going to visit, but they do everything.
Great opportunity to get a head start on your holiday shopping for your favorite pool player if you're going to be in Vegas. So make sure you visit some of our vendors. Let's talk a little bit about CompuSport. Sure. They are a vendor, not a vendor that sells things, but they are the group that runs all of our online brackets, and you have the ability to kind of track when you play and view kind of what your match schedule might look like, not just for your next match, but throughout the tournament, right?
Yeah, you can see your schedule, you can see opponents' schedules, you can see friends of yours schedules, you can see anything through CompuSport whenever it comes to this event. That's where we're going to send out notifications for your table assignments. They go directly there. We're not going to read them off. I'll touch on that point in a minute. You can also get the results of your matches within there. If you've signed up for Mini Mania, if you're in the major events, they're all on there too, right? Everything that you need to know about the schedule is also located in CompuSport, including the Mini Mania schedule itself is in there. So definitely download that. You're going to get that through your app store, and just download CompuSport. We're going to put everything out there that you need, but you really can map your tournament all the way through too.
Yeah, I love that part of it.
Yeah, you can select, hey, if I win or lose here, what happens?
Right.
What blocks of time do I have available so I can go out to dinner, so that I could go out down the strip see a show, those kinds of things. Because the events, it is more than just pool.
Yeah.
At this, it really is the whole experience of being out there with friends and family, your teammates, and you want to know whenever you've got time to go and do something maybe not pool related for a little while.
Yeah. Now, are you able to look at like your opponent as well through CompuSport and kind of see like what's their breakdown on skill levels and that kind of thing?
Skill levels not so much, but you can see like who they play, when's the last time they played, what happens if they win or lose, right? You can see what their roster looks like. The skill levels are located in another system whenever it comes to this. Mini Mania is a little different in that regard. You will see your opponent's skill level within the Mini Mania app, but whenever it comes to the main play, it's more about the rest of that information. When do I play? Who am I playing? Where are they from?
Right.
You know, that kind of thing.
Okay. Excellent. Let's talk a little bit about referees, right? All of our referees and rulings, you know, kind of tied together, but all of our referees are APA members,
Yes,
right?
they are.
Typically high-skilled members
Yes,
that
they are.
volunteer their time to come out and work, and man, they put in some hours. There's
They
no
do.
doubt about it.
They do.
It always surprises me that we get as many as we get, and thank goodness we do, because we certainly need them. But it's kind of one of those thankless jobs where, you know, if you do your job well, nobody notices
Nobody
you,
notices,
and
yeah.
it's when there's, you know, something happens that it becomes a thing. But talk a little bit about referees, rulings, what to do if I'm in a match and, you know, I see something that I don't think is right, or, you know, I'm not sure is right. I need to ask for help.
Absolutely. So our referees are volunteers. They are league players. They are highly skilled league players who have to prove that they know the rules, right? They know how the rules go and how to apply those rules. They also have to have the right temperament. They have to be somebody that can officiate when sometimes things aren't going the greatest for them. They're human. You know, there are going to be some mistakes.
Sure.
If a mistake does happen, though, the referee is just one link in a long chain that we've got to try to resolve the issue before we move on. So if you've got an issue with the referee, the best time referee call, or just in general, the best time to address it is right then.
Right.
Don't wait. If there's a bad call or something and you're questioning it, then you're going to want to question it right then. You don't want to wait till the match is over.
Yeah, not much can be done once the match is over.
Not much can be done at all. It's rare if we can do anything about it after the match is over. So you're going to want to address it then. If the referee gives you an answer that you don't agree with, right, you can politely ask for a floor manager. The floor managers is the next level up. They wear suits. They're out there. They direct the referee teams. They're going to rule on whatever scenario they're facing, right? If you disagree with the floor manager, you can get a tournament director. Tournament directors also wear suits, but they typically sit on the table up in front.
The control table?
The control table, the one I talked about earlier.
Right.
They're going to weigh in. Sometimes if it gets to this level, we're talking about multiples of them weighing in because it's something either really unique or just something that's that serious to where we want to make sure we get it right. They're going to confer with each other. They're going to come up with an answer as well. Sometimes we face things that are 100% never been brought up before. And so I'd love to tell you that everything's been, like figured out, but been here 20, 21 years now, and there's always something new. So we're going to make sure that we get the best ruling that we can for the situation and apply the rules as best we can to those unique situations. However, sometimes there's still questions on whether or not that ruling is correct. At that point, you're going to ask it for an event supervisor. That's going to be me on one of them on days. We've got another one over the middle, and we've got one at night. The event supervisor, we're charged with a lot. Tournament play, hotel issues, pretty much anything to do with the event, we're like the last stop. If we give you an answer, it's the answer.
Right.
I mean, at that point, there isn't. You've exhausted every link in the chain. You've got the answer that you're going to get. It's the best answer we can provide. It may not be a perfect answer. There may not be a perfect answer. It's just the way things go. But it is the answer. Okay. And at that point, you've got it. We're going to ask you to go back and either play your match or respectfully just accept that that is the answer, whether we agree that that should be the answer or not. And we're going to consider the issue resolved at that point. So the key point there is that never just accept at face value what a referee or floor manager or a tournament director have said to you. If you truly disagree, you believe that you've got a case of why you've got a disagreement, you're going to ask for the event supervisor at the end. Once you've gotten that, you've asked everybody you could. Until that point, if you're going to have doubt, I'd rather get the answer myself than to walk away thinking, I wonder if it would have been different if I would have asked for that person then.
Yeah, the key is just do it in the
Yes.
moment that it's happening.
Yeah.
Don't wait till the match is over. because at that point,
There's really
things have moved on. It's
there's
too late.
rarely anything that can be done outside of addressing future situations to prevent whatever it is from happening to
Sure,
somebody else,
sure.
or to have a ruling in place in case it does, that kind of thing. But there's so little we can do at that point, and oftentimes it's hard to hear a situation where you know it could have been reconciled in the moment, but because it wasn't brought to our attention then, there's nothing we can do about it now. It's the worst answer that we have to give.
Yeah.
It's not that we want to, but we have to give it. Sometimes there's just no going back.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about Mini Mania. I know we've touched on it a few times. Actually, Mini Mania and Mega Mania. Mini Mania is basically ongoing tournament play, smaller tournaments. I think we run those about 20 hours a day.
A little less now.
Somewhere a little less than that now?
I think we got it down to 18
There was a time
now.
when it was
There
24 hours
there
a day, and we
was,
realized
yeah.
we need to back this up a little bit to clean up the room.
Yeah, we
so.
need to clean up the room just a little bit, and there'd be like two guys like finishing out their match with everybody on the stages. Like
Yeah.
just, come on, you know. And we realized that's not a good scenario for the players to be in. That's not a good scenario for our staff. And really, you can get the play in prior to that time. So for all those reasons, we have reduced it some.
Okay.
But we do run them every single day of the event. We do run them late into the evening. They
And those are
normally finish
typically
around
like
2.
8-person, 16-person.
8-person,
kinda.
16 people, you're going to take your cash, right? Each event's got a different cash value to it, and they're segmented by skill levels or doubles or, you know, these other qualifiers. You're going to go, you're going to pay your money for that as long as you've got the scores, right? You're a
Right.
member, you've got the score requirements that you have to meet, and you've got the cash. And the system doesn't tell us you can't do it because you're already in.
Something else.
Something else that's scheduled over the top. But yeah, you can sign up for these, and we typically pay out first and second for most of the events, sometimes a little deeper into the field depending
Right.
on how big
Yeah.
the event
Top
is.
25% of the field, right?
Exactly.
Gets
It's
paid
pretty
out.
close to that. And then we've got the Mega Mania.
Yeah.
And the Mega Mania are basically the same thing. It's
Just
on-site
larger.
sign up.
Yeah.
It's got the skill level requirements, it's got score requirements, it's got all of that stuff. They're just bigger, and they're more limited, right? We can only do those at those times when the events have wound down, and we've got plenty of tables to do these. But that's also when we had the most players like looking for events.
Sure.
And a lot of times, Mini Mania sold out by then. Mini Mania is very popular,
Right.
extremely popular. Expect a line for that one
Yeah.
if you're there the first day, definitely. But great opportunity for players to get some play in. Great opportunity for practice.
Yeah.
If that's all you want to do. A great opportunity to just try to win some money and compete a little bit. And you don't have to be in one of the other events to do so.
Yeah, in fact, a lot of folks will come out strictly just to be part of the Vegas experience, to play in Mini Mania, even though they're not, they haven't qualified for one of the bigger events. And that's what I love about Mini Mania is you can compete on this grand stage even if you didn't qualify, and that's, assuming you've got enough scores and you meet the requirements. But for most people, it's a great opportunity to get a taste of Vegas.
Exactly. They are what they are. Mini tournaments,
Yeah.
right? And I can't recall exactly how many we're running, but it's in the hundreds.
Yeah, and the schedule, again, we've talked about the event program, but that Mini Mania schedule is there in the event program, so you can start to get an idea for what's happening on what days, and then try to get signed up for whatever interests you. So keep that in mind. A couple other things that I want to mention before we finish up here. Fan favorites. We will have some of our top pros that we work with that'll be in attendance. Of course, Dr. Q will be there doing shows. Florian Kohler, who is local there in Las Vegas. Venom, as most folks on the internet know him, will be there doing his trick shot shows. And the Black Widow, Jeanette Lee, should be back with us as well. In fact, she's got a new book that's coming out right around that time, so I know she's going to be signing her new books and that kind of thing. But I know a lot of folks that were with us in April or May for the Pool Player Championships. Jeanette could not be there.
Yeah.
She was having some health issues. Her health issues are well documented, but she's feeling good right now, and the plan is that she will be there for most of the event. So you'll have a chance to, say hello, get an autograph, maybe play a challenge match. I think she's going to be in her booth or at the exhibition table maybe about 3 hours a day.
Yeah, about 3 hours.
So an opportunity, to get up close and personal with the Black Widow, if that's what you want, or Florian or Dr. Q. They'll all be there. And then, a lot of times you'll see a couple other pros running around with some of the vendors and
Oh,
that kind
yeah.
of thing. Of course, Ava Lawrence, my broadcast partner, will be there. I know a lot of folks like to get pictures and things and autographs with her. So you never know who you'll see at our events in Las Vegas, but certainly we know that, again, Dr. Q, Florian, Ava, and Jeanette will all be there for you guys to interact with.
Yeah, and that all happens in the event center foyer.
Yes.
So it's a glassed-in area between our 2 biggest tournament rooms. You can't miss it. I mean, you really can't. There's a table hung in there. We've got truss up lighting, all of that stuff, and it's right between our diamond booth and some of our other pretty popular vendors are in that space too. So definitely drop in. Obviously, there's no admission charge or anything like that. You could just go in and just sit down.
Yep.
Enjoy yourselves, watch it.
Absolutely. So should be a great event. I think we have shared with you about everything we possibly could to try to help you guys prepare ahead of the event. And the last thing I'll tell you is just understand that, when you're coming to Las Vegas, if you're flying to Las Vegas, you're going through the airport, you're getting on an airplane, you're getting to Las Vegas, you're getting in a cab stand, you're getting to the hotel, you're waiting in line. There are likely to be moments or times during your journey where things don't go maybe as smoothly as you had hoped or as well as you had hoped, or it may even be in the tournament itself. Everyone comes into this tournament expecting they are going to be the team that wins, right? And at the end of the day, it's only going to be a handful of teams that make it all the way. So I just like to tell people, come out there with the understanding that you've already won, right? The fact that you have qualified and you are going to Las Vegas, you have already won the prize, right? Everything on top of that now is gravy, right? Try to embrace the experience, enjoy yourself, have the time of your life, because these opportunities don't come up that often. We have 250,000 members, probably 40-something thousand teams, and only, a small percentage of them are going to make it to Las Vegas this year. All right, so it's important you understand that making it to Vegas, that's the big deal. That's what you've already accomplished, and try to remember that when maybe some of these little hiccups happen. It took a little longer to get in your room, or you waited a little longer for an Uber than you wanted to. Just try to maintain a positive attitude. It's going to go a long way in ensuring that you have the experience that you want to have out there.
Exactly. You worked hard for this. You won. You're getting there. You really have already won at that point. I know it sounds kind of cliche. You really have.
Absolutely.
And the one thing that I can say is all those inconveniences would be a lot worse if you hadn't already won something.
Right.
And you weren't already there. If it was just general things of standing in lines, something doesn't go right, that's not so great. But in this context, the positives far outweigh the negatives you'll experience. It really is about how you approach it and how you look at it as it's kind of a once-in-a-lifetime trip.
Right.
And if you've been there a ton of times, right, you're there every single year, and it's kind of old hat to you, I think it gets easier to have those moments and to let them bother you. But just remember the people around you, how many of them are brand new. Right. And it's their first time too, their first experience. And I'd hate to be the one to ruin an experience for somebody else.
Sure.
Right? I'd also like to look over and say, well, they're enjoying themselves because it's brand new. Try to look at it with those eyes. Like, these things aren't given, as we learned. Sometimes we haven't been able to run events when we wanted to in the past. So I know that I don't take them for granted. That it's an opportunity for us to go out there and have fun again, and that's not a given. So just try to make the most of it when you're there.
Absolutely. So plan and prepare accordingly. Hopefully you have found the information that we've provided you today useful in making your journey to Las Vegas. I think, again, if you have the right mindset and you prepare accordingly, you're going to have a great time. We are looking forward to seeing all of you out there. Again, 16,000 participants, probably somewhere around 20,000 total attendees between guests and Mini Mania folks, 1.3 million up for grabs. So it is going to be an incredible event. A great time is going to be had by all, and we are excited to see you guys in Vegas. Until then, we'll say goodbye for now, and we will see you in Las Vegas.